Greetings, That Kind of Nerd podcast listener. Welcome to episode 2929. This is absolutely crazy that we've been doing this for 29 weeks. Just insane. Thank you for coming along for the ride. This week, Josh is actually not on the show with us again. There's just some last minute stuff. It was around the Halloween times and life has gotten in the way. So Josh will be coming back. He will be joining us on future episodes. We just had, some small delays and some scheduling stuff. So have no fear. The good news is Brian and I are here to talk to you. So we're going to guide you through what's been going on this week, what's happening, stuff with thatkindofnerd.com. I again want to thank John Negroni for coming on to our podcast and talking about the Pixar theory. And guys, this is the last week that we're asking for your help or support. Actually, that's not true. We want you to always support fellow nerds, but all you have to do is go to slimbooks.com/Pixar Theory. Get your own digital copy of the book, The Pixar Theory from John Negroni. It's only $7. That's right, $7 gets you a book. And if you want a physical piece of paper, you want something that you can hold in your hands and fold up as you go on a long trip to your family during the holidays, it's only $1 more. And for those of you who are international listeners, I know we have a few, $12 gets you international shipping. That is ludicrous. So go to slimbooks.com/Pixar Theory. Also check out John's podcast, Now Conspiring, as well as his website, johnnegroni.com. Come along with this trip with Brian and I, and let's talk about some nerdy stuff. All right, everybody. So since Josh isn't here, the show will still go on. So Brian and I are here to talk some topics with you, and let's get started right away. Let's talk about the movies that are coming up in November. I know that this podcast is coming out a little late and is still the beginning of November, but you need to know what's coming out. So I want to jump into it. Brian, like always, has done a wonderful job of putting together a list of movies that are going to come in theaters. We decided to just pick a select few, so we weren't doing the entire list. So there's an entire list at thatkindofnerd.com. It'll be on our featured post. Make sure to check it out. So Brian, what is our first movie of the month of November?
Our first movie. I'm sorry, that was a horrible voice.
That's
Hang on,
okay.
let me actually talk normally. So first movie in November 6th. We actually got two movies coming out November 6th, but the first one is huge. It is the new James Bond film, Spectre, starring Daniel Craig as the senior Bond and Christoph Waltz as the big bad, who we really don't even know exactly who he is right now. I'm super excited for this movie. I'm a huge Bond fan. I don't know about you, CJ, but I think this is going to be fantastic.
It took me a while to get into Bond, and I wouldn't call myself like a Bond expert or enthusiast, but I do like it. But the whole new reboot of Bond, I've really enjoyed. And I love Skyfall a lot, like more than I thought I would. So
yeah, the reboot's been really good. Except for Quantum of Solace. I mean, Daniel Craig's been pretty solid so far. Skyfall was fantastic. I actually really enjoyed Casino Royale too. Mm-hmm. This one seems like they're going to go back to some classics, especially with the big bad being Spectre, and that was for those Bond people who know is a pretty big staple in the Bond universe. Started out with From Russia to Love, I think, with Blofeld. So I'm interested to see what comes of this and how it's going to look. It looks fantastic, but it's probably going to be our last Daniel Craig Bond film. I don't know if you knew that.
I did read that somewhere. I don't know if maybe, the Queen will say, hey, no, I demand one more Daniel Craig movie.
Well, he was signed on for another one, but I think after some of the comments he said, I don't think they're going to make him do it.
Well, we shall see. It's just another opportunity for Sony to show off its terrible phones. And everything, and just Sony trying to sell some units with that. But no, the story looks phenomenal, and just like you said, I'm really excited to see Christoph as the big bad. I think it's going to be a great film. Definitely going to see this. Not maybe on opening day, but definitely going to go see this.
Oh, really? I'm going to be there first showing as quickly as possible.
Like I said, I'm not a huge Bond fan. I appreciate it. But,
for shame, sir.
Yeah, well. Could be worse.
All right, well, it's coming out that same weekend. You can maybe see this opening day. I don't know how big a Peanuts fan you are, but the Peanuts movie comes out November 6th as well.
I do want to see this because
I'm saying Peanuts, not something else. just making sure you know.
Just gonna cut that part out.
You go ahead and try, but that's gold.
You just take out that drunk filter, put in a fresh one, you'll be fine. No, I am very excited to see the Peanuts movie. I like the way that they're going with. It reminds me a little bit of like an upscaled South Park style of animation, where it still holds true to like the original movies and the way that it is in print, but still making it feel modern. I think my daughter will actually kind of enjoy this because she knows who Snoopy is. I don't know how, but she knows who Snoopy is
because she's smart,
which is great.
And it's Snoopy.
So I think it's something I'm going to see. I'm not usually a big fan of the rest of the Peanuts movies. I know for shame, scoff, gall, and throw heavy objects at me, but I really think this one's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've always been a huge Peanuts fan and Charlie Brown, Snoopy fan in general. I'm definitely going to be seeing this. I'm actually watching It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown right now because I can. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be fun. Also, it's written by Charles Schultz's son, so I think this should be true to the material. It should be really good.
Yep, I'm definitely on board.
So after that, we actually got a week off from things that I feel are extremely important. I mean, we have movies coming out, but nothing that I think is too important until November 20th, when The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 comes out. The finale to the Hunger Games quadrilogy starring Jennifer Lawrence.
Am I correct in saying that this is Philip Seymour Hoffman's last movie? Did he do anything in between Mockingjay?
Not that I know of. I'm pretty sure he died while filming this one. I'm not sure. I don't even know if he was done filming this one.
I think they wrapped his stuff, but I think you're right. I think he died during production for like reshoots and stuff like that. This is going to be another movie that's going out that a studio is going to have to, figure out what's going to replace its revenue stream pretty quickly. But I'm really excited for this. I've read the Hunger Game books like most people have, and the movies are really cool. And I'm kind of excited to see how they're going to end this, because I know things are going to be just you have to do things a little differently than in the book, but you still have to do some of the really cool shit that they've got normally planned.
Yeah, well, and I'm a huge fan of Jennifer Lawrence, even outside the series. I think she's great. I've never read the books, so the movies is really what I'm basing everything by, and it's intense. It's at a point where it's kind of everything's gonna cook in that pressure cooker and blow in any moment. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty fantastic. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, honestly. I don't know if we really need to spend a whole lot of time on it.
No, I think it's definitely a movie that I know I'm going to see opening night. My wife is going to take me with her. We're going to wear District 12 shirts, and we're going to have a blast.
See, I'm not that.
Yeah, it's going to be that. It's going to be the end of. It's the end of an era. Not really, though, because the era is pretty long and this is pretty short. It's the end of.
You can do anything with this. They could do a sequel, I'm sure. I've never read the book, but I'm sure they could do more.
You should watch the end of the movie, then you'll come back and say there's really not a whole lot more you can do.
We'll see. All right, well.
We shall see, Brian. We shall.
We shall see. We shall. The following week, it's not really a week, actually, the Wednesday.
A Wednesday?
Yeah, well, because Thanksgiving.
Okay.
They release everything
True.
beforehand. That Wednesday is, first off, we got two movies coming out. The first one is The Good Dinosaur from Pixar. So it's, again, I don't think there's a whole lot to be said about this. It's Pixar. I'm going to go see it.
In the last episode, we talked to John Negroni from the Pixar Theory. And, we were asking, how do you think this can kind of fit into that? To which, he just hypothesized, which as rightfully he should. And I'm very curious to kind of see how it fits within that Pixar Theory. So, if shameless plug, if you haven't listened to the conversation with John Negroni, the Pixar Theory, just pause this real quick, jump back to the last episode. It's a really nice conversation, and kind of get his perspective. But it's Pixar. This is going to be great. I'm really kind of intrigued to see how this kind of plays out. And it may be the movie I try to see around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, absolutely.
I try to see a movie on major holidays now.
Is that why? Because that's the only time you can see movies anymore?
Well, I don't work retail anymore, so now I don't have to be at work for these major holidays. And my wife and I are huge movie people, and I've seen movies on Christmas, and why the hell not Thanksgiving? And going to be with a lot of family, so I think it's a good family film. It's going to be really nice.
Very true. I mean, it's going to be tough because that same day Creed comes out, and I don't know. I got to see me some Creed. I'm a huge fan of the Rocky series. Michael B. Jordan coming as Apollo Creed's son, being trained by Rocky Balboa and Sylvester Stallone. I am super excited for this movie.
This movie looks really good. The trailer, the first trailer was just pumped you up. I think the most current trailer, the one that we have on our website, has a little more Rocky in it with Creed, and just it's crazy to see Sylvester Stallone still just freaking killing it, like still being a badass.
Yeah, well, the man gets paid to be freaking badass, so why not, right?
My question is, do you think that this movie can spin off into its own saga?
I absolutely think so. If this movie lands right, I'm totally thinking you'll see a Creed 2, 3, possibly, depending on how this movie kind of ends. I think it's a great idea.
Did Stallone write this movie too?
Yes, he did.
Okay. How many years?
So, I mean, with Stallone behind the wheel, he's written every Rocky movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the driving force behind it. I think it's another franchise in the making, and I think it's going to be great.
How many years do you think he still has left in him? Is he gonna be able to write this entire saga? It took him a while to flesh out the whole Rocky, storyline.
Yeah, but I mean, it took him a while, but then he got a huge career out of it. So I'm sure he's got a little bit more left in the tank. Who knows?
Well, considering that Michael B. Jordan really doesn't have to worry about Fantastic Four,
who knows? He might have to come back. I don't know.
Sincerely,
Fox is very insistent that they love the Fantastic Four, but who cares that they're ruining my childhood, right?
That's Fox's MO. Hence why you can't say the word mutants outside of a Fox movie.
Yeah, or the Fox TV shows that are going to come out soon.
That's why we have to have Inhumans, because we're not allowed to say the word mutant.
Well, I mean, in their defense, Inhumans is a type of alien race / mutant, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But it's just Fox ruining your stuff. I get it.
Yeah, well, Fox ruins a lot of things. I mean, look at Firefly.
I did notice when we were going through the movies, we did skip one thing I know that I wanted to briefly cover, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but Legend, I think that also comes out November 20th.
Yeah, Legend was supposed to come out in in October. Got pushed back to November. We already talked about it a few episodes ago, so I don't think we need to touch on it too often, but it's Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy being Tom Hardy. I think it's going to be great.
It's the same day though as Hunger Games, and I feel bad for that movie because I feel like it's going to get crushed.
Yeah, that's going to be rough for them.
Unless it's the guys who are being dragged to the movies, like, I don't want to go see Hunger Games, so let's go see Legend. Tom Hardy's in it. You like Tom Hardy?
No, but if you're a guy, you're seeing Hunger Games. You don't care about the story. It's just Jennifer Lawrence in tight leather. Who cares?
You can go on the internet and see what you want to see for that. I mean,
very, very true.
I mean, if you really are that big into Jennifer Lawrence, I don't think you're going to sit through the love story that is the Hunger Games in the end of the day.
You don't know me. You don't know my life.
I do know you, Brian, and you would love to sit through the love story of the Hunger Games. You find a love triangle utterly fascinating.
It's extremely fascinating, and I always put myself in the guy who always gets screwed in the end.
It's kind of like the love relationship that you have with the cats in your apartment. And I just want to remind the ladies that the cat-to-male ratio is rather low, so don't be intimidated, even though there's a small love triangle going on.
There is no love between me and those cats.
Those cats hate you. They'll probably eat you in your sleep.
Frickin' hate me.
I'm so sorry to hear that. So what movies are you guys excited for? We definitely want to hear from you. Make sure you put a comment on thatkindofnerd.com. Check out Brian's article of the movie previews for the month of November. There's a lot more than just the ones that we talked about. We just thought we would kind of hit the hits. We just wanted to see, what was important down the pipeline. So please check out the full article and tell us what you think. So onward to the next piece of conversation.
Onward and upward for science.
For science. Is Jessica Jones released a full-length trailer.
Finally.
It's about time.
After a gajillion stupid 10-second teasers.
The teasers were just that, teasers, but they tended to piss me off instead of getting me excited.
Because they were teasers.
I know, but I've been excited and pumped by a teaser before and not just utterly pissed off.
No, this trailer, though.
Holy shit.
Wow, this trailer was pretty amazing.
If you want to talk about dark and gritty, this show has more of it than Daredevil, I think.
I think this show is going to be very mentally taxing. Whereas Daredevil's very, visceral and street brawl, beat 'em up type of show. The villain, her big bad is the Purple Man, who's a psychic, it's going to be very emotionally and mentally messed up for her. I think it's going to be amazing.
I think it's going to be a lot of when you watch movies like Memento and you watch them all the way through, and there's a real big mind fuck in Memento. I think that there's going to be a lot of that in this show, and it's going to be so crazy that you can't look away. It's going to be so
God, I hope so.
painful that you can't look away, and you can't help but either sympathizing with her or like really rooting for her to kick his ass.
I mean, I think either way you're going to root for her to kick his ass.
Even though it's David Tennant.
Let's pause for a second. Let's pause for a second talking about the fact that you watch that trailer. We all know David Tennant is Killinger in this movie.
Right.
He's the big bad. And you don't ever see his face, but he just sounds so menacing.
You see his face one time. He's like doing his yell. He's like, ah! And you see his face.
It's a split
but
second.
It really, if you blink, you will miss it.
It's a lot in this trailer. It's a lot of him like vocally, like just being terrifying.
The most terrifying thing was he knocks on someone's door and goes, "You want to invite me in?" And the person just stares at him for a second and goes, "Yes."
Oh yeah, come
on in. And it's just this shadow, just this silhouette of him walking into the house. You're like, what a fucking, it's like a fucking vampire. It's crazy.
My favorite scene in that trailer was where she walks into the police station. He's on the phone, talking to her, and all the police officers are pointing guns at each other, and you're just like, wow,
what the fuck?
The amount of just power this guy has that she's gonna have to deal with is immense. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm so looking forward to it.
The beginning of her, a little bit of her character, reminds me of what Hancock could have been had it not been screwed up with this angels. Spoiler alert for anyone who was watching Hancock. This like angels theory that it's this superhero who, you know, doesn't really consider themselves a superhero, who likes to drink and just kind of be a person, but is a little bit tortured just by the life that they have to live.
Yeah, she's got some bad things in her past that she's trying to overcome, and they all start with him. The Purple Man is his name in the comic book. So I think this is going to be great. This is going to be another time where I freaking just stay up all night and binge watch a show. I think it's going to be amazing.
I may take a few days off work. When does that premiere? When does it drop on Netflix?
November 20th.
So same day as the Hunger Games and Legend. So I'm going to be really busy.
So I will go see the Hunger Games. Then I will go home and watch Jessica Jones all night, and then I will die.
For the people that are out there, I want to let you know something. We are going to give you a full 7-day pass on Jessica Jones. We won't mention it on our show or talk about it on our show to give you the opportunity to watch it. But after the 7 days, after the week, spoilers are going to be coming because we're going to talk about the show in its entirety. It drops all at once, so there's really no reason for true nerds not to get through that thing in 7 days.
This is your test. If you are a true nerd, you have 7 days to watch Jessica Jones before everything is spoiled for you.
I'll put a countdown on the website somewhere. 4 days until Jessica Jones is spoiled.
Meanwhile, Captain America fights the Nazis.
So sorry for our behavior. Josh, come back. We miss you. So let's talk about the kind of the last thing that's on the agenda. I know we're doing a slightly shorter episode. And I want to talk about Supergirl.
Supergirl!
So Supergirl premiered, and I wasn't as upset as I initially was. I think the trailer was super misleading.
I think so too.
Into what type of show that we were actually getting. When we saw the trailer, it was this insecure, bratty, spoiled, annoying woman who was the protagonist, and it just seemed very, I don't know, patronizing towards women. It just seemed to be a total letdown of the character that we were getting.
Yeah, I knew as a woman you would understand.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I was actually kind of surprised as to that aspect of the show was handled very well. And it wasn't something that I think that they set a bad example towards women or you know, kind of let us down in the development of a female character. In my eyes, the biggest letdown was just the development of the character.
Yeah. I watched it, and like my only complaint was this is moving really fast. Like, hey,
really
3
fast.
minutes, really fast. Like, we know her entire origin within 3 minutes. she's in the suit within 10 minutes. She's fighting a bad guy within 15 minutes, and then she is beating the bad guy within 40 minutes. And it's just like, this is really, really fast. I don't think they failed at her as a character. I think they got it pretty on the nose. But it's just like the story, the development was just like, yeah, they could have spent more time.
So we're going to talk a little bit about this, which kind of has, I guess, some semi-little spoilers in it. So if you haven't watched Supergirl, you may just want to turn off for a minute. So the thing that really got me was kind of what you're saying. The pace of this show was really off. What we've liked so much about Daredevil and what we liked about Flash and Arrow and shows like that have really kind of taken some of the comic book world and made it into reality was the amount of character development is pretty high. It's less action and less, hey, let's get right to the point. And it's kind of showing you the world, building it up a little bit. And I know in this universe, we accept that Superman is reality and he's out there. He's in the world.
Yes, he's there. He's a shadowy figure.
Right. But
like an angel in the sky.
But they know about him. Like everyone knows who the hell Superman is. And what would have been really cool is to not have her just jump like right into that Supergirl persona, not jump right into the costume. Like right away, like freaking Daredevil took an entire season for him to get into the costume. And just like you said, Brian, they get her into the Supergirl costume within 5 minutes. And it was like the shortest thing. I was bothered by that.
The legit Supergirl costume. That's the other thing. I was expecting more of a learning curve, like her trying to figure out things, like because she hasn't. They made a big point. She hasn't used her powers in years. She's been trying to kind of because it's not her whole existence. Her whole reason for coming to Earth was to protect Kal-El. Then she gets lost in this Phantom Zone and ends up coming 30 years later, and now she doesn't have a mission. She's searching for a mission,
right?
So she doesn't really use her powers. It's not that she's scared to use them. She just doesn't know what to do. And like they just really rush through hey, here's this, costume montage, which consisted of 2 costumes. I was expecting, as a comic book fan, I was expecting to see more of the here's the ridiculous costume Supergirl has worn over the years.
That would have been cool.
I think that would have been fun and something really cool for the fans to kind of be like, oh, I remember that costume from the 80s. That costume was awful. But they didn't do that. The one costume they showed was definitely a costume I've seen before, and that was it.
I hear Josh's voice. Give me a second. Hold on. Let me get into character. Hey, fanboy, they're not making this show for you. They just need to get to a costume that works for people. Okay, they don't need to montage all of it. Sorry, I think Josh's spirit has just left my body and I'm returned to normal.
That seemed rough. Oh, wow. I know they're not making this show for me.
I know.
But even from a story standpoint, that kind of like growth in, well, let's see what works. This works, this doesn't work.
Right.
This, I can do this, I can't do that. That works for a story point. And it was just so, hey, here's this one costume. Okay. That doesn't work. It's a little slutty. Let's do this one. And that's it.
She goes from saving, rightfully so, right? The first time you use your powers is for something pretty epic. And she goes and she saves that plane, which she needs to do because she's got people on it that she knows. And she gets the plane. She barely gets her through this bridge. And she just kind of uses her powers just enough to save people, but not really have a firm grasp on them. And then in 10 minutes time is fighting aliens.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait. How do you learn how to fight? You said you've never used your powers. You don't know how to fight. Why are you fighting an alien? Why did you jump right to that?
Yeah, I think the episode would have been better paced if they did something like some low-level guy that wasn't an alien, that was just on Earth, that she needed to stop and had to kind of learning curve. I would take some
cops and robbers action and people stopping from robbing a bank or kind of doing basically learning how to be a hero, how to handle kind of petty crime even at that point would be just a little more just building to something or have her stop like a major crime that's in the area that isn't about superpowers. It's just about, hey, bad people doing terrible things and we can't find them. Something like that I think would be really cool, or something that uses some of her intellect
Right.
To show that she's not a one-dimensional character.
Right.
I think that would be cool.
I mean, they made a huge point of showing, like, she's not a typical teenage girl. She's not, like, she's very confident. She stands up to her boss, who is the head of a multi-billion-dollar company on multiple occasions. She has no problem doing that. She's very secure in herself. So I think all of your initial worries about it were completely unfounded.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And done in that first episode. But like just from a standard like story point of view, it was a little rough. It was a little rushed. I'm gonna keep watching it, see what they do. I did like the little fan service. And I don't know if it's fan service or if they're gonna build to it. Hank Henshaw being in this first episode and being like the head of this government organization she's working with. That was pretty cool. Hank Henshaw, who, for people who don't know, eventually becomes the cyborg Superman, who is a pretty big villain in the DC universe in general. So I think that'll be interesting to see that develop and kind of come to fruition. Her best friend eventually in the comic book becomes a villain, the Toy Man.
So yeah, real quick on that point,
sure.
Her best friend in the first episode, towards the end, she reveals her identity as Supergirl to him for what I will call no reason.
Yeah, that was something else I was really for.
What was that about? Because there's Jimmy Olsen's in this show, who has not made any appearances in the movies, and he says, "Yeah, I know your cousin, and guess what? Your cousin sent me to just keep an eye on you. Just say, hey, making sure everything's going okay." So I mean, that's one person that already knows. Her best friend / like stepsister in a way knows. That's two people knowing a secret that you've had for about a day. Right? You've had this persona of Supergirl for one day, and you already have two people just know right off the bat.
Technically three when you include her stepsister.
Right. True. But what I'm saying is you have two already. Why add a third? Why add your best friend to the mix?
Yeah, that's another thing I didn't understand. They made a point of having Jimmy Olsen in that show, and then instead of having him come forward and be like, hey, I know who you are, they waited until the end of the episode, and she's already told her other friend who works with her, just as a way to just kind of, well, hey, I'm going to try and do this thing, and my sister doesn't approve of it, so I need some help. I need somebody who can support me in this, so I'm going to tell you. And that made sense, but why wouldn't they just make that person Jimmy Olsen?
Right, that's what I said.
That was what I was confused about.
It does. So here's the thing about this show. It does some things really good. It does things really well, and then does other things kind of poorly. Callista Flockhарт's performance, by the way, side note, is one of those things it does really well. Right. She's not the Devil Wears Prada boss. She is her own character. She is her own persona. And I think she handled the issue of the Supergirl, hashtag and moniker like really well. As a really well strong defined premise to it. This is why we're going to name her this. And then just like you said, I feel like part of this secret, part of this identity is cheapened by the, hey, now every main character that you've met essentially knows.
Yeah.
Like all the people that you meet know who she is. So, I mean, like, who does she, like half of the superhero's fun. Half of the fun of a superhero is hiding the identity from someone kind of important to your life. And there's no one that she's doing that for. And it takes some of the comedy and the brevity out of some of these situations where you would have to explain why you are late, why you are covered in ash, why you are, really tired after, only working a few days. Those kind of things. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do. It's obviously just a pilot, and I'm sure they've gotten a lot of feedback since it leaked. And then also, to now that, there's still some time to do some course correction. So I'm really intrigued to see what they're doing. Now, I definitely want to say this is 100% now going to be the spoiler of alert for Supergirl. So seriously, if you don't want to be spoiled, turn off now. Okay, you have been warned. Her mom is working with these alien spaceship people. What the hell is going on?
Her aunt.
Her mom's
twin sister what
the hell is going on? I don't understand. Like that part, I was like,
the entire premise is that her mom put away a bunch of renegade aliens, Kryptonians, including her sister,
like a space
into
cop.
the Phantom Zone, as she is taking this advantage of escaping from the Phantom Zone to kind of reap her revenge on Supergirl and on just being able to rule a planet the way she wanted to rule Krypton. That canon, as far as I remember. I haven't read a whole lot of Supergirl, I'm not going to lie, but I don't remember this at all.
I don't really mind if it's canon, but like what, like that's I don't know how that's going to play out. That's a weird thing.
It's going to play out like, holy crap, you're my aunt. Why are you attacking me? Oh, well, because I'm evil. Okay, well, I guess I'll fight you. Roll credits. That's how it's going to play out.
Okay, well, I hope
she's going to have a crisis of faith because it's her aunt. It's like, it's the entire thing between Kal-El and Zod. Like, Kal-El thinks that this is it.
But
this
that's
is the
not
only
the
other
same level. I mean, Zod is insane, right?
Yeah, but Zod is the only other, according to what Superman knows, the only other Kryptonian. He kills Zod. He is effectively killing his race and making him the last one left. It's the same dilemma.
So that's the other thing, too. Do you know where this falls in? I mean, how canon is this to the DC movie universe, do you think?
DC has made it very clear that their television universe has nothing to do with their movie universe.
Gotcha. All right. So
it has nothing to do with it.
Okay,
but can we mention the fact that Dean Cain shows up?
I was so glad you said that. That Dean Cain is in this is phenomenal.
So great.
And then
Dean Cain, the Superman from Lois and Clark, one of the, I was going to say the worst Superman, but that's small.
That's not true. Yeah. And then Helen Slater, the original Supergirl, is also in this movie.
Yep.
In this TV show.
She's her stepmom, right?
Yep.
That I thought that was fantastic. Again, just a nice little throw in for the fans, people who know what they're looking at. Oh my gosh, it's freaking Superman.
I lost my mind when I saw Dean Cain.
Yeah.
And then I was so excited about Dean Cain, I didn't even look at Helen. And then after the credits rolled and her name showed up, I was like, wait a minute. Because I remember her from the secret of my success with Michael J. Fox.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love that movie, and she was awesome in that movie. And then I realized, wait, she was also Supergirl. So it was cool to see some nods. Again, I know they didn't make it for us, but that was a cool way to just kind of acknowledge some of this.
Listen, regardless of whether they make it for us, as Josh would call me, a true believer, it is always nice when they put in those little nods for the true believers to point out, to see. It's fan service. You have to, when you do a show like this, you have to pay homage to the fans in some kind of way, even though you're changing it.
They're the people that are going to make this show stick.
Right. They're the people who are going to keep watching the show. They're the people who are going to introduce their friends to this show to be like, hey, you're a girl. You want to be into superheroes? Check out this show.
I think, that's the other part to this. I don't think that's necessarily, initially I thought that was the angle that they were going to go at. Because they premiered this show after The Big Bang Theory, which has been, obviously hugely successful across like every demographic ever. That a lot of girls who really didn't get nerd culture or nerd humor have started watching The Big Bang Theory and, recognize Doctor Who references or recognize, DC, Flash, and Arrow and things like that because of Sheldon's shirt or the Green Lantern. That I think that's what they were kind of hoping to just kind of capture anyone who liked that nerdy show and put it into there. So I don't know do you think that this is something that you can go to, someone and say, hey, you're a girl and want to get into comics, watch this show? Do you think that's...
Absolutely. Why not? She's a very relatable character.
She's
a very relatable, strong female lead. And, some girls and females can't really identify themselves.
Now, my
Flash
question
or
is,
Arrow or Batman.
Do you tell someone, hey, you're a girl, want to get into comics, watch Jessica Jones, or go watch Supergirl?
I have to watch Jessica Jones to know for sure. Jessica Jones is, as a character in general in the comic book, she's extremely damaged. She's not that relatable. And I think that this show is going to really kind of play on that.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be very relatable for just anybody who's like, hey, you're new to this world. Check this out. But Supergirl is totally relatable. It's totally easy to get along with. A person who's trying to find themselves in the world, find
universal themes, yeah.
Their idea of what they want to be. It's a universal theme. Anybody can identify with that, especially a college-aged or teenage girl.
Hell,
who's
teenage
looking
boys
for
in college age.
Yeah, I'm still looking for a freaking purpose in the world. So everybody can identify.
Do you hear
with
that, ladies? Brian's looking for a purpose, and it can be you for the low price of shopping for iPads after breakfast. All that can be yours for the low price of one phone call.
Oh my God. Thanks, CJ.
Wouldn't it just be great if this led to something? That's so nice for you, Brian.
Yeah, it would be wonderful. But
some listener out there, I know you've got someone that you can match up with Brian. He's a nice guy. It's worth it.
I'm a wonderful human being.
I'm sorry, we got derailed. So listen, bottom line for me on Supergirl, this is going to go into my shows to watch. I don't know if it's on my must-see TV. I don't think it's something I'm going to catch on every premiere, but it's definitely something that I want to keep up with. I think it did a lot better than I initially thought it would, so thank you, CBS. You have my trust yet again. Don't mess up episode 2 and 3 like Heroes Reborn has, and we'll be fine.
Well, Heroes Reborn is NBC.
I know, I'm just saying Heroes Reborn episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah, can we talk about that for a second? Because it's been so disappointing. Yeah, although absolutely. Josh is not here to talk to me about it.
Well, I mean, you can at least vent a little bit, and then Josh can listen, and he can yell in his car.
Sure, I can vent a little bit. Listen, the first episode was good. I'm not even going to go as far as say it was great. This show needed to do something different than any other, because when the first Heroes series premiered, it was new. Like nothing, we weren't watching a superhero movie every 3 months. We didn't have a new superhero show every year. And it was cool and new and fresh. And this relaunch needed to do something like that. It needed to break new ground. And it's just more of the same. And it's just upsetting. As much as I love Zachary Levi, I'm kind of over it.
I have 2 things I just need to say. It's 2 quick words. Called it.
Yeah, I know you called it.
Called it.
Listen, I didn't swear to God that this was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread and Betty White, all right?
You know Betty White was around before sliced bread, correct?
Exactly, that's why I said that.
That's pretty good. Good knowledge. Random fact,
You're
guys,
welcome.
there you go. There's your random fact of the day. Betty White is older than sliced bread. Look it up, it's real. There was a picture and some text on the internet. That means that it's real, right?
You can trust anything on the internet.
As long as it's a picture and text.
Exactly.
Especially with a mallard.
Even if it's in podcast form.
Okay, even on podcast form. Okay, you heard it here, guys. You can cite us as reassurance of us. Yeah, so what do you think? Do you think Supergirl is something that you're going to watch every week?
Yeah.
This is on your every week?
It's definitely, it's going to be on my DVR to watch every week. It's going to be one of those things that I give a season. I gave Gotham a season.
I'm so sorry you gave Gotham a season.
Oh, I roughed it a season, and Gotham is off my watch list now.
Good.
And Supergirl is going to be one of those shows that I give a season, and I honestly, just based on the first episode, I know it's going to do better than what Gotham did. So
yeah, it's got some room to grow, but I'm really kind of happy with the foundation that was set. So I think they've done a good job. What is your biggest movie that you're excited for November?
That's tough, because out of the 5 that we talked about, I think I'm most excited for. It's a toss up between Bond and Creed.
You got to pick one. You got to pick one. No toss ups.
You can't do that to me.
You got to pick one. You got to pick one.
You can't do that to me.
Which one are you doing?
Creed. I'm super excited for Creed.
I'm really kind of anticipating The Good Dinosaur.
Oh yeah?
I don't know why, but something about that movie, I don't feel like I'm going to cry as much as I do with most Pixar films, and I need to pick me up.
So here's the thing that Pixar does every time. And I don't know why I keep doubting them, because this happens every movie.
Right.
I see the trailer and I go, it's all right. I'll go see it because it's Pixar. And then I go see it and I'm like, that was the most amazing thing that has ever graced the movie screen in forever. And then I'm hiding tears behind my eyes. And like, I'm just like, oh my God, can we go see it again?
All except for Cars 2.
I didn't see. That's the only Pixar movie I did not see.
The only Pixar movie that no one says that has graced the screen, and there should be awards all around.
But yeah, I mean, Pixar has this thing. It's just like their trailers tend to be underwhelming, but then you see it and you're just like, this movie's amazing. So I'm sure it's going to be great. but I'm very excited for Creed.
What about Creed is going to be? What exactly is that? That one over Spectre. What is the thing that that is Taz?
So I love Bond. Bond is everything you want in an action spy movie, and that's great. Creed and the Rocky movies in general can be so inspirational and so just like they just hit that right moment, that right chord in you, and like you just like I could put myself in that moment and kind of feel inspired to do something better and be better and be a better person, and that's what every Rocky movie has done, and I fully expect Creed to do that for me as well. I think it's gonna be great.
Well, so believe it or not, that's going to wrap it up. I think we're going to keep it. No, put a happy note on it.
Is that better?
What the hell was that? That I will allow.
It's the Final Fantasy VII victory music.
It's good. So since Josh isn't here, we just decided to kind of keep it light, just kind of hit some main things. So here's what
Light and breezy. Warm and fuzzy.
Warm and fuzzy. Absolutely. It made me feel warm and fuzzy. So here's what I knew. Call to action. Calling all nerds. We want to know what movies you are really excited about, or your thoughts on Jessica Jones or Supergirl, or if you are in strong disagreement with Brian about Heroes Reborn. We want to actually physically hear from you about our show. So first things first, I just want to remind you, you can always tweet at us at That Kind of Nerd on Twitter, or find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/thatkindofnerd. Look how easy it is to get a hold of us.
It's so easy.
But I want to put something out there for you guys. I want to put out something for the true fans of the That Kind of Nerd podcast. If you call and leave a message regarding this podcast and the topics that we talked about, or to hell with it, anything that we've ever talked about, you leave a comment on our Google Voice line.
The world is your oyster, fan.
if you leave a comment on our Google Voice line, I will personally pay for the cat to mail ratio is rather low t-shirt.
So this is a very huge deal, not just because you're getting a t-shirt about my living situation with cats and males, but CJ is very cheap. So if he's paying for something, that's a big deal.
So I really want to hear from you guys, and I also just kind of want to see someone wear a shirt that says the cat to mail ratio is really low. And to be honest, I don't know if we're ever going to make a shirt, so these would be like limited edition things, and they'll come with a personal thank you note from us. So I really want you to know that we really value the amount of time that you guys have given us, considering this is episode 29. So it's pretty easy. All you're going to do is call 484-373-4119. That is 484-373-4119. Yes, we fixed the audio problem that we had that one time, guys. It was one time. So please, we definitely want to hear from you. Listen, we're also very curious to hear how you guys like the episode with John Negroni. I really, again, want to thank him for the time that he took out of his day to talk to us. Please go and support him by going to slimbooks.com/Pixar Theory. That's slimbooks.com/Pixar Theory. Pick up your copy for only $7. Or, like I said, if you want a real book, it's only $8, Brian. $8 for a book, and they ship internationally.
$8?
Ship internationally for $12. That's crazy talk. So I know we have a couple people that aren't in Americas who are listening to our podcast. Thank you for listening.
In that vein, my buddy Corey messaged me the other day. He's like, he is serving our great country in the United States Navy.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service, Corey.
Thank you, Corey, for your service. He messaged me the other day. He's like, hey, we poured it in Chile. I'm downloading all the episodes I missed.
Oh.
So thank you for being
Corey.
a super fan. I'm super excited that it's that important to you, man.
Thanks, sailor. And I mean that because he's a sailor. So anyway, leave a comment there. I will send you a t-shirt absolutely free of charge with a thank you note. And then I want to see a picture of that thing too. So again, 484-373-4119. Thank you so much for making us your listen as you walk around the neighborhood or your drive to work. It really means the world to us. Thank you so much for listening.
You don't know me. You don't know my life. Onward and upward for science. I'm just sitting here drinking a beer because CJ's gone.